Yang ji jimbur zirdan nimi zhang zonen munum jimbur nga gyata bakar targan zanto shirmar to. Tumba tikje jan la ki sham tsar mechan rawar seringi zhang kamsa jawar tikji shan la yi larma. Jimi panzo jala sara de gongje topan pawar shinji lo, gongje topan pawar shinji lo, gongje topan pawar shinji lo.
Profound and subtle Dharma is rarely encountered in eons. Now we can hear and follow it. May we realize the Tathagata's meaning. To liberate sentient beings, please generate bodhicitta before today's teaching. Today we have something here called a diamond. It is said there are 365 of them. These are our diamonds from 2018. From the year 2018 to the year 2019, these diamond prayer beads. When the time comes, we will give one strand to each person here with us. This one is from 2018. Before this, it seems there was one from 2017. Oh, this is the one from 2019. Yes, this is from 2019. The ones from 2018 were already distributed before. These are diamonds. At that time, it seemed to happen naturally. Throughout the year, I would translate one teaching citation each day. These were ones I personally enjoyed and had memorized. There were only those from 2018 and 2019. Later on, things became much busier, so there were no more. But perhaps we will see about doing this again in the future. Today is a special holiday. I wish everyone a joyful holiday. What holiday is it? Today is said to be International Day of Older Persons. It seems that yesterday was International Translation Day. Yesterday I just finished translating the 18th chapter of the Wish-Fulfilling Treasure. There is only a little bit remaining after that, so I can finish the translation of the Wish-Fulfilling Treasure. This year's task can be completed. The Wish-Fulfilling Treasury basically comprises 2 volumes. Now I am working intensively on the Treasury of the Supreme Vehicle. For the Treasury of the Supreme Vehicle, some parts are quite difficult to understand. Some parts are more related to daily life matters. Within the Treasury of the Supreme Vehicle itself, there is much knowledge about health and wellness explained, how to perform massage, how to take medicine. Looking at the Treasury of the Supreme Vehicle, much of it is about the great perfection, but sometimes it also teaches about these matters as well. Yesterday was International Translation Day. Around the world, this is for important treatises that have made contributions to human society or to different languages. It is a special day of commemoration. As for today, being the day of older persons, I wonder if there is any special significance to it. It is said that those aged 60 and above now number approximately 1 billion people. If it is 1 billion people, that is probably 1/7. 1/7 are now people over the age of 60. A few days ago in the United States presidential election, one candidate was 75 years old and his opponent was 77 years old. The moderator was 72 years old. 3 elderly people were there competing for position. Many young people said. Some people said that if people in their 70s are still so strong and vigorous, then human society should have hope. Some people said that if these elderly people are like this, then what about us young people? There are also these kinds of opinions. In any case, today I also take this opportunity to wish all the elderly people an auspicious and joyful holiday. You might be thinking about what you want to receive. During the Mid-Autumn Festival, we eat mooncakes. Today we are teaching the Sutra of Great Liberation. In the Sutra of Great Liberation, among the names of the Bodhisattvas, originally I only intended to recite the transmission, but for some of them, after looking into it, we have already encountered them in some sutras, so I will briefly mention them to everyone. Perhaps today's content will extend a little beyond our usual time, because I am thinking that today and tomorrow we may need to complete the first volume. Basically, in terms of content, it may be a bit longer in the middle, perhaps it will be longer or perhaps not necessarily, but usually we keep fairly close to the schedule. I have also made requests to the Dharma teachers not to go on too long, but for some Dharma teachers it does not seem to have any effect. No matter what I say, they still do things according to their own way. Actually, regarding this, we feel it is somewhat, you could say it is a kind of, this type of person is, I have mentioned this many times. Privately, I want to see some Dharma teachers' teaching time is too short. Perhaps they did not prepare the lesson, or their health is not good. Too short. If it is too short, it is difficult to accept. If it is too long, then those listening below also feel quite distressed. It is too long. Perhaps the Dharma teacher enjoys teaching too much, thinking it is a good opportunity, and keeps going on. But for some people, we Tibetans have a saying about thread. In the past, when making thread, if the thread is too long, it easily breaks. If speech is too long, it easily becomes rambling. There is this saying. So sometimes we should still be not long, not short, not tight, not loose. This has the essential view. I myself believe that my teaching is not particularly long. About an hour or so, everyone can accept it. Going a bit over is also acceptable. But if the teaching time is too long every single time, especially in our current era, is truly the era of fast food culture. Now when we see a rather large book, we say, wow, this book is too big, I do not dare to read it. Just from its appearance, we develop a mind of aversion. If a Dharma teacher every day teaches for an exceptionally long time, everyone will begin to feel unable to listen to his class. Otherwise, when the time comes, it will surely be quite painful. So regarding this matter, the monks are somewhat better. But as for the nuns, sometimes anyway, I have also mentioned this many times. I've mentioned it in class, and I have also mentioned it when meeting with the Dharma teachers. Of course, occasionally, perhaps we have some teachings we cannot finish. If we do not teach it, we fear that those listening below will not understand. This occasionally may happen. There are some teachings we cannot finish. Just like today, I may perhaps go over somewhat, but I also will not go over by an especially long time. This is something I have personal experience with. In the past, when His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche would sometimes teach, sometimes when His Holiness was especially joyful, especially inspired, originally we would begin teaching around 10 o'clock in the morning, and he would continue teaching until close to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok would still be teaching, but we below were very anxious, looking at our watches again and again. In the end, we would all be doing this constantly, closing our book covers completely and just listening like this. In the beginning, sometimes His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok would teach in the afternoon, beginning around 1:15 in the afternoon. As he taught and taught, sometimes he would teach for several hours. Of course, for us, if it were like His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok, everything was pith instructions. So sometimes we really should listen. But generally speaking, for each person to have a relatively fixed amount of time like this is probably better. Let me also mention something here. Why am I explaining this today? If my time goes over too much, then you all can raise your hands to let me know. It is a bit unbearable. This is better. The sutras teach that if you truly do not wish to listen to the teaching, do not listen with a disturbed mind. It is better if you stand up and leave. It is good both for the Dharma teacher and for yourself. The Vinaya also teaches this. So if you feel my class is too long, I agree that you can stand up and leave in the middle. Now let us continue our teaching. Yesterday we taught about the Bodhisattva who transcends the three realms. Today we teach, I prostrate to Bhadrapala Bodhisattva. As for Bhadrapala Bodhisattva, he is called worthy protection or worthy guardian. Worthy means that he will very soon attain Buddhahood. Guardian means that upholding the path of Dharma is extremely firm. Worthy guardian. Guardian is the character for upholding, or we can also say worthy protection. This Bodhisattva called Bhadrapala Bodhisattva. Then I prostrate to Maitreya Bodhisattva. Everyone knows about Maitreya Bodhisattva. In the past, in the presence of a Buddha named Maitreya, he made aspirations of loving kindness and compassion. In the future, when he attains Buddhahood, he will also be called Buddha Maitreya. When he is a Bodhisattva, he is also Maitreya. Maitreya means the kindly one. Just as Buddha Shakyamuni made aspirations before the great Buddha Shakyamuni, and later his Buddha name was also called Buddha Shakyamuni in the same way. I prostrate to Ratnakuta Bodhisattva. Many of these are the same as what we taught yesterday. They are found in Jizang's commentary on the Dharma Flower Sutra. This Ratnakuta refers to possessing both material wealth and Dharma wealth, possessing both material treasures and Dharma treasures. Some people possess Dharma treasures but lack material treasure. They are especially poor, penniless. Some have adequate Dharma treasures. They have no problem teaching Dharma, but they are often quite poor materially. Some possess material wealth. Their finances are adequate, but their dharma is very poor. Some possess both. This bodhisattva possesses both. Then I prostrate to the guide bodhisattva. As for the guide bodhisattva, he guides beings through the dharma, just like a merchant leader going to sea. He removes all obstacles on the path. I prostrate to Shrigarbha bodhisattva. This Shrigarbha bodhisattva, it seems I have not found him in the commentary on the Dharma Flower Sutra. Then I prostrate to the bodhisattva devotion to teaching. Mainly, he delights in teaching and explaining the sutras. Some of us very much wish to propagate the Dharma. In any case, whether it is tutoring or teaching Dharma, especially as a Dharma teacher, it is best to learn from the bodhisattva devotion to teaching. Otherwise, when it comes time to teach, you feel especially distressed and afflicted. As soon as rest time is mentioned, your facial expression changes completely. Oh, we truly do not need to have class. How wonderful. Lama-chen, Lama-chen. In this way, you are not the bodhisattva devotion to teaching. Truly, like His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche and some lineage masters, they are all bodhisattvas of devotion to teaching. At any time whatsoever, not to mention during times of happiness and joy, even when encountering various obstacles, they never give up, never abandon their commitment. They are like these bodhisattva devotion to teaching. Then I prostrate to Nagatrunk Bodhisattva. This is found in the Sutra of Buddha names, but I have not found a specific explanation of his name. Then I prostrate to the Sandalwood Jewel Flower Bodhisattva. This is also found in the Sutra of Buddha names. Then I prostrate to Highest Deeds Bodhisattva. I prostrate to Anantakarika Bodhisattva. I prostrate to Perfectly Arranged Deeds Bodhisattva. I prostrate to Vishuddhakarika Bodhisattva. These four bodhisattvas of practice have all appeared in the Lotus Sutra. Perhaps everyone remembers them. At that time, some bodhisattvas who came from other places said to Buddha Shakyamuni, after you manifest parinirvana, after you pass into nirvana, we will come to propagate the Lotus Sutra. At that time, the Buddha said, no need, you do not need to come. We have our own bodhisattvas. At that time, with these four bodhisattvas as the main ones, there were exceptionally many bodhisattvas. The Buddha said, my Lotus Sutra I entrust to them to propagate. That will be sufficient. There is no need for other bodhisattvas to come. At that time, the Buddha entrusted it to these four. Highest Deeds Bodhisattva, Anantakarika Bodhisattva, Perfectly Arranged Deeds Bodhisattva, and Vishuddhakarika Bodhisattva, these four bodhisattvas. Then I prostrate to Dharandhara Bodhisattva. This Dharandhara Bodhisattva also appeared in the 18th chapter of the Lotus Sutra. I prostrate to Vajra Non-Craving Bodhisattva. I have not seen this one in the commentary on the Dharma Flower Sutra, but he has appeared in some sutras translated by Amoghavajra. He should have appeared in some books of Chinese esoteric Buddhism. Then I prostrate to the always respectful Bodhisattva. This is also in the Lotus Sutra. It is also in our extensive biography of the Buddha. Because this Bodhisattva, no matter what kind of person he encountered, would always say, I dare not look down upon you, I dare not disparage you, because you are all practicing the Bodhisattva path, and in the future you will all become Buddhas. He was respectful and courteous to all beings. Regarding this always respectful Bodhisattva, in the past, in my footprints on the journey, it seems I wrote about some stories of the always respectful Bodhisattva, or rather about some of my own personal feelings at that time. Then I prostrate to the flower of the previous King Bodhisattva. It seems this flower of the previous King Bodhisattva, in the past, in the presence of a Tathagata, received teachings and attained a certain samadhi. After that he offered his own body, like burning his body as an offering to the Buddha. For this reason, later he was reborn during the Dharma ending period of that Buddha. Later, when this Buddha was approaching parinirvana, he entrusted the Dharma to this Bodhisattva. After that, he made a stupa for the Buddha's relics. He made a stupa from his relics. In front of the stupa, he again burned his arm as an offering to the Buddha. At that time, he made a truthful aspiration. There is such a story. This this is called the flower of the previous King Bodhisattva. Then I prostrate to Priyadarshana Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva gladly seen by all beings. In other dictionaries, Priyadarshana Bodhisattva, actually in Buddhist dictionaries, is the abbreviated name for the Bodhisattva gladly seen by all beings. It can also be called Priyadarshana Bodhisattva. That story I just told may be somewhat related to the past life of this Bodhisattva, the story I just told. Then below we teach about the foremost melody Bodhisattva. The foremost melody Bodhisattva also at that time also appeared in the Lotus Sutra. He came from another pure land among the 10 directions. From the pure land of cloud thunder sound, King Buddha, the foremost melody Bodhisattva. At that time, the Buddha said that in the past he made offerings of various musical instruments to the Sangha and the Buddha. Because of this reason, in this lifetime, he became the foremost melody Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the strength of effort and good qualities Bodhisattva. In the Sutra of Buddha names, it seems this character for strength is not there, but in Tibetan it is present. The strength of effort and good qualities Bodhisattva, I prostrate to Aksayamati Bodhisattva. As for this Aksayamati Bodhisattva, actually in the Great Collection Sutra and many other sutras, he has also appeared. This Bodhisattva comes from the pure land of Samantabhadra Tathagata. Aksayamati Bodhisattva will also appear later. He primarily uses his wisdom to destroy afflictions and enables beings to obtain inexhaustible wisdom. Then I prostrate to the perfectly pure heart Bodhisattva. This perfectly pure heart Bodhisattva is not found in many translations. Perhaps they added it later, so we will not use it here. In Tibetan, there is also only one, which should be the meaning of inexhaustible intent. I prostrate to the perfectly pure heart Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the perfectly pure eyes Bodhisattva. As for perfectly pure heart and perfectly pure eyes, they should be the past lives of Medicine King and Medicine Superior. This is also taught in the Lotus Sutra. If one hears the names of the perfectly pure eyes and perfectly pure heart Bodhisattvas, one will be far from the lower realms. Perfectly pure heart and perfectly pure eyes are like this. The perfectly pure heart and perfectly pure eyes Bodhisattvas, I prostrate to Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. As for Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, it seems he is not found in the Sutra of Buddha names, but actually in the wonderful Dharma Lotus Sutra and other sutras he is present. This Samantabhadra Bodhisattva here is the same one we usually recite about in the King of Aspiration prayers, the Samantabhadra Bodhisattva who made the 10 great aspirations. He is also found in the biographies of the 8 great Bodhisattvas, but not in great detail. The most extensive is Manjushra Bodhisattva, then teachings about Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Everyone should also be clear about these. When we teach the names of these Bodhisattvas, perhaps some Buddhist practitioners will have a sense of joy. When we recite the name of a bodhisattva once, we purify the karmic obscurations of many lifetimes and kalpas. Life after life, we ourselves can be reborn in very noble family lineages. It is extremely meaningful. Of course, some of us may be half believing and half doubting. Perhaps when we teach about the names of these bodhisattvas, it feels somewhat dry or somewhat tedious, because we cannot help but teach in this manner, with a somewhat comparative and academic approach to the teaching. In the process of teaching, perhaps it is a bit tedious, but whether teaching sutras or treatises, sometimes we encounter knowledge that you may not necessarily wish to hear about. For people without faith, perhaps the names of bodhisattvas do not mean anything to them. But for people with faith, to form connections with so many virtuous ones should be very meaningful indeed. This is not only in our Buddhist classes. Perhaps worldly classes are also like this. For example, when we study physics, chemistry, or other knowledge, some knowledge is very interesting to you, while for some you do not have such great interest. This is possible. But in any case, we should still proceed to introduce everything to everyone, basically in the same style. Below we teach, I prostrate to Manjushra Bodhisattva. Many of those below are found in the Sutra of Buddha names. As for Manjushra, he fulfills the wishes of beings and possesses such excellent merit and good qualities. This is also taught in the Ratnakuta Sutra. I prostrate to Maitreya Bodhisattva. Here there is also a Maitreya. He is found in other sutras as well. Now from below here, in Sanghavarama's translation of the Infinite Life Sutra, at the beginning there are approximately 16 worthies. If we add Bhadrapala, altogether there are 16 bodhisattvas. So now as we study the Sutra of Great Liberation, these names of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas should be relatively familiar to us, because some of them come from the Infinite Life Sutra, some come from the Lotus Sutra, some come from the Vimalakirti Sutra, and yet some others come from other sutras. So for many of us, these have already been studied during these years. If we have studied them, except for a very few individuals who forgot everything after hearing it, there is no way to help these people. These people, no matter how many times they hear, may forget everything. But generally speaking, especially with this time studying Sutra of Great Liberation below, we also cannot do individual teaching and testing in various aspects. We will not have teaching and testing. But for the others, such as the earlier ones, the Vimalakirti Sutra, the wonderful Dharma Lotus Sutra, and the Infinite Life Sutra, for many of them I also taught them. And after teaching them, some were also tutored by Dharma teachers. And some, moving forward in the future, also have tutoring and teaching tests on the same day. In this way, the impression may be deeper. I believe many of you should be able to remember quite clearly. So for this section, everyone should also remember that at the beginning of the Infinite Life Sutra, there are these bodhisattvas. I prostrate to the excellent thought bodhisattva. I prostrate to the non-empty bodhisattva. I prostrate to the miraculous flower bodhisattva. I prostrate to the clear light bodhisattva. There is a sutra called the Sutra on Contemplating Akashagarbha Bodhisattva. In the Sutra on Contemplating Akashagarbha Bodhisattva, it says there are the names of these 4 bodhisattvas. If one recites them, one can enter the path of Buddhahood and be far from the evil paths. Which 4 are they? From the east, the non-empty bodhisattva. From the south, the excellent thought bodhisattva. From the west, the joyful faith and purity bodhisattva. This one does not appear in this sutra, but it appears in the sutra on Contemplating Akashagarbha Bodhisattva. From the west means one who is joyful, faithful, and pure. The joyful faith and purity bodhisattva. Then from the north, the miraculous flower bodhisattva. These 4 bodhisattvas have very great merit and good qualities. Here it mentions the clear light bodhisattva. Later, there is one called the clear light of wisdom bodhisattva. The clear light of wisdom bodhisattva should not be used. They added it later. The clear light bodhisattva we mentioned earlier is also found in Tibetan, also found in the Taisho Tripitaka and in other places as well. The later clear light of wisdom bodhisattva, although there is a clear light of wisdom bodhisattva in some other sutras, but here it should be the earlier clear light. They probably did not understand it particularly well, because as for clear light, this character light also has the meaning of brilliance and luminosity. I prostrate to the highest wisdom bodhisattva. There is a sutra called the Highest Wisdom Bodhisattva Sutra. In this sutra, it mainly teaches about the Mahayana bodhisattvas, skillful means for liberating beings. The highest wisdom bodhisattva has a dedicated sutra. I prostrate to the clear light of wisdom bodhisattva. In the Shariputra Dharan Sutra, it specially teaches about 8 great bodhisattvas. If I remember correctly, there are Manjushra, Avalokiteshvara, and others. Among them is one called the Clear Light of Wisdom Bodhisattva. This also refers to this bodhisattva. I prostrate to Jnanadvaja Bodhisattva. Mainly, it means his wisdom destroys all ignorance. That is to say, great wisdom, the Jnanadvaja Bodhisattva. Then, the pacified senses Bodhisattva. This is also found in the Sutra of Buddha names. Then, I prostrate to the prayer for wisdom Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the prayer for wisdom bodhisattva, a bodhisattva who both makes aspirations and possesses wisdom. I prostrate to the Gandhahastin bodhisattva. There is also a Gandhahastin bodhisattva in other sutras. He is also in the Great Collection Sutra. He has especially excellent wisdom. Generally speaking, he transcends all demonic realms. He transcends the objects of evil maras. Then, the clear jewel Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the adorned by light Bodhisattva. The adorned by light Bodhisattva should also not be used. This is also added. I prostrate to the abiding in the middle Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the deeds of cessation Bodhisattva. This means stopping and controlling evil karmic actions. I prostrate to Vimukta Bodhisattva. As for this Vimukta Bodhisattva, in the Kshitigarbha Sutra, there is one called liberation. At that time, the mother of Bright Eyes Girl later became Vimukta Bodhisattva. Bright Eyes Girl at that time was Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva. That Vimukta Bodhisattva. The last one is called Dharmagarbha Bodhisattva. The past life of Amitabha Buddha is Dharmagarbha Bodhisattva. From above, the Infinite Life Sutra mentions 16 or 15 bodhisattvas. If it is 15, we add Bhadrapala Bodhisattva at the beginning. In this way, altogether, there are what are called the 16 worthies. This is how it is taught in the Infinite Life Sutra. From below here, they are mainly taught in the Vimalakirti Sutra. The commentary on the Vimalakirti Sutra, there is one called the annotated Vimalakirti Sutra. It should have been taught by Kumarajva and composed by Sengjao. Jizang also has one like this. In that one, there are some literal explanations for each bodhisattva. Most of them have explanations. Not necessarily all bodhisattvas have them. From below here, most of them are in the Vimalakirti Sutra or in the annotated Vimalakirti Sutra, where they can be found. I prostrate to the equally conceptual bodhisattva. Equally means the meaning of equality without duality. He observes the equal nature of emptiness. I prostrate to the equally non-conceptual bodhisattva. As for equally non-conceptual, mainly it is the unequal conventional phenomena, the manifested phenomena. A bodhisattva who mainly observes conventional phenomena, I prostrate to the equally and unequally conceptual bodhisattva. He is equivalent to both the conventional and the ultimate, or the two truths of both equality and inequality. He observes both very well. This bodhisattva. Below, we teach about the king of the sovereign of Samadhi Bodhisattva. He has attained sovereignty in Samadhi. These are all found in the annotated Vimalakirti Sutra. Then, the king of the sovereign of Dharma Bodhisattva. The previous one attained sovereignty in Samadhi, not like us. When we enter Samadhi, either we fall asleep or we engage in wild thoughts. We have not yet attained sovereignty in Samadhi. We cannot attain sovereignty over Dharma. Today, we listen very well. While listening to the teaching, it seems there are not many afflictions, but after a while, when we encounter circumstances, afflictions come again. So we cannot attain sovereignty over Dharma. If we can attain sovereignty over Dharma, then we need not worry. Also, I prostrate to the characteristics of Dharma Bodhisattva. The characteristics of merit and good qualities are complete. Then I prostrate to the mark of light Bodhisattva. The marks of light are complete. He illuminates the world. His light should be the light of wisdom, the light of compassion. It is not necessarily that this bodhisattva is especially bright. When you look at him, wow, he is so bright, so good looking. It is not this meaning. Then I prostrate to the adorned by light bodhisattva. His light of compassion and wisdom adorns himself and all beings. His primary adornment is adorned with the light of compassion and wisdom. It is not our way of dressing up or other makeup to adorn ourselves. There may be some difference from the worldly way. Also, I prostrate to the great ornament Bodhisattva. As for great ornament, it means great adornment. His wisdom is extremely supreme. I prostrate to Ratnakuta Bodhisattva. These are all found in the annotated Vimalakirti Sutra. I just said the annotated Lotus Sutra. What I mentioned earlier was the annotated Vimalakirti Sutra. I made some mistakes in what I said earlier. You can check it later. I prostrate to Ratnakuta Bodhisattva. There was a Ratnakuta earlier. There is also one here. Here it also refers to the treasures of wisdom being accumulated. Many have been accumulated. This meaning, accumulated, means many. Generally, here, treasure worldly, people may think it is agate, coral, gold, and silver. But generally, for bodhisattvas, the so-called treasures are the 7 riches of the noble ones, or when the Uttara Tantra Shastra teaches about the 3 jewels. It speaks of 6 qualities such as unchanging and stainless. These are called treasures. Then I prostrate to the stacked up minds bodhisattva. He has the 4 types of perfect eloquence. His eloquence is extremely abundant. This Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the jewel-in-hand Bodhisattva. In his hand he holds treasures, the wealth of wisdom. Here the jewel-in-hand mudra Bodhisattva is also not found in the Danhuang manuscripts or in Tibetan, so we will not use it. The earlier jewel-in-hand will suffice. This jewel-in-hand mudra should also not be used. Then I prostrate to the jewel-in-hand mudra Bodhisattva. In his hand mudra, there are dharma treasures. There is wisdom that can fulfill the needs of beings. Then I prostrate to the continually raising the hand Bodhisattva. As for continually raising the hand, he also signifies that raising the hand represents a kind of protection for others, letting beings not fear all maras and wrong paths. That is to say, comforting beings, pacifying beings, consoling beings. A sign of this we often see, like the mudra or protection, there is a hand mudra. Some Buddha images in the Han region also have this. Some famous worldly figures also make this hand mudra. Also in some statues, this hand mudra, so it is called raising the hand. If he raised his hand all the time, the Bodhisattva's hand would also hurt quite a bit. It signifies rescuing and protecting beings. I prostrate to the continually lowering their hand Bodhisattva. As for continually lowering their hand, his hand is like Buddha Shakyamuni's earth-touching mudra. It signifies leading beings with compassion. Because his hand is pointing downward, it shows that many of our pitiful beings are below, allowing them to receive comfort, then liberation and rescue. Then we teach, I prostrate to the endowed with constant loving kindness Bodhisattva. Here, compassion has the meaning of pity and mercy. Constantly having a mind of compassion and mercy, the endowed with constant loving kindness Bodhisattva. Then I prostrate to the endowed with constant loving kindness Bodhisattva. The endowed with constant loving kindness Bodhisattva should also not be used. This was also added by them later. We will not use it. I prostrate to the Lord of Joy Bodhisattva. Root means the true nature, delighting in the true nature of all phenomena. I prostrate to the King of Joy Bodhisattva. Joy also means rejoicing. King is the true nature of all phenomena, the pure Dharma, delighting in the pure Dharma. I prostrate to the melody of the mind Bodhisattva. When he debates with beings, his voice is without fear. When hearing the voice of this Bodhisattva, all knowledge is without obstruction, mastered without hindrance. I prostrate to Akashagarbha Bodhisattva. Was there an Akashagarbha earlier? No. Earlier there was a Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, our 8 great Bodhisattvas. All appear in different places. As for Akashagarbha Bodhisattva, generally, many sutras teach Akashagarbha. Because of this Bodhisattva's power of aspiration, treasures appear in space, raining down treasures to fulfill the needs of beings. This is also said in some sutras. When Kumarajva explained it, this Bodhisattva's wisdom pervades everything like space. There is also this explanation. I prostrate to the holder of the jewel and lamp Bodhisattva. Holder also has the meaning of holding in the hand. In his hand he holds a lamp of wisdom and treasures. This Bodhisattva can dispel the darkness on the path of beings. This great Bodhisattva. Just now there should be a few, for example, Akashagarbha Bodhisattva. It seems I have not seen him in the annotated Vimalakarti Sutra. There should be, I think. Let me check again. When you have time, it is best to look at the annotated Vimalakarti Sutra. The original Vimalakarti Sutra text also contains these. I prostrate to the jewel hero Bodhisattva. Jewel means wisdom. Hero means being very, very courageous. If you have wisdom, you will surely be very courageous in any situation whatsoever, whether memorizing texts, teaching examinations, or written examinations. At any time, you yourself are just like some wealthy rich people. Wherever they go, they are very pleased with themselves, buying whatever they want the best. Is the most expensive necessarily the best? People with wisdom are very courageous. Wherever they go, they have that quality. So this is called the jewel hero Bodhisattva. Some say he is especially courageous in seeking jewel-like wisdom. There is also this explanation then. The jewel view Bodhisattva, using the jewel of wisdom to see the true nature, to see reality. This Bodhisattva has this wisdom. I prostrate to the net of truth Bodhisattva. Net of truth refers to being especially numerous. His miraculous powers, his qualities of emanation are like a net of truth. very numerous, universally covering everything. Then I prostrate to the illuminated net Bodhisattva. From some places in his hands he emits light, emitting the light of wisdom. This light is called the illuminated net of light. This Bodhisattva is called the illuminated net Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the understood as free from faults Bodhisattva. This understood as free from faults Bodhisattva mainly refers to objectless emptiness. In Tibetan, there is also something else I have forgotten. Just now, when I was reciting the transmission, I remember there was some other thing. It seems there is another explanation, yes. How does it describe understood as free from faults? Free from faults observation. Objectless, free from faults observation. Free from faults, objectless. Perhaps it is this. Having objects has faults, just like the three spheres being empty, having no objects. Looking at the literal meaning in Tibetan, it seems to be objectless, free from faults observation, free from faults, free from fault observation, this meaning. Then the stacked up wisdom Bodhisattva. His wisdom is numerous in meaning. Then I prostrate to Ratnakuda Bodhisattva. This Ratnakuda, we have that jeweled crown protrusion, the crown protrusion character, that jeweled crown protrusion. Also, in some other explanations, his treasures of merit and good qualities surpass worldly treasures. There is also this explanation. Then I prostrate to Devaraja Bodhisattva. The Deva of Devaraja Bodhisattva refers to our worldly gods, and here Deva is called noble and holy, king of the noble ones, Devaraja Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the completely conquering demons Bodhisattva. As for completely conquering demons, it means destroying all maras. Hearing the voice of this Bodhisattva can dispel all obstacles. Then the glory of lightning Bodhisattva. In the annotated Vimalakarti Sutra, it says, named according to the event. Because of an event, he was given the name Glory of Lightning Bodhisattva. Also, Kumarajava said this character for glory is the character for obtain, not the character for merit. In Tibetan, it is the character for merit, but I think, if named according to the event, generally, lightning means swiftness, swiftly obtaining various merits and good qualities, or swiftly obtaining the merits and good qualities you need. This should also be acceptable, because lightning means swiftness, glory means merit and good qualities, wisdom, and so forth. I prostrate to the King of Sovereigns Bodhisattva. There is a sutra called the King of Sovereigns Bodhisattva Sutra. In it, teachings about sovereignty and discipline, miraculous powers, and wisdom are explained. There are many teachings in the form of questions and answers. This Bodhisattva is especially taught about. There is such a King of Sovereigns Bodhisattva Sutra. Among the Buddha's sutras there is this. This Bodhisattva is like this. I prostrate to the perfectly adorned with the mark of good qualities Bodhisattva, using merit and good qualities to adorn oneself and others. This Bodhisattva. I prostrate to Simhagosa Bodhisattva. After realizing emptiness, the lion's roar of emptiness, no one can surpass it. I prostrate to Meghasvara Bodhisattva. Thunder sound generally brings joy to gods, while other beings are afraid. So the name of this Bodhisattva brings joy to some kind people, but brings fear to those with evil minds. Meghasvara Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the sound of the quaking of Mount Muchilinda Bodhisattva. Two mountains colliding with each other at that time, the sound emitted is especially deafening. Everyone knows this. This Bodhisattva teaches and tames beings who are difficult to tame. When hearing the name of this Bodhisattva, it is like some of our wrathful Vajra deities like Vajraklaya and Yamantaka. Even just hearing one of their names, some evil spirits and heretics become especially terrified. Just like the sound of mountains colliding, everyone becomes especially afraid. So compared with the previous one, these two are somewhat different. As for the previous thunder sound, some feel joy, some feel fear. As for this Bodhisattva, all maras and beings who are difficult to tame can only be subdued through this method. In our Buddhism, it is also like this. Actually, the worldly realm is also like this. The Buddha's methods of taming beings, teaching according to the capacities of beings, this point is very important. Just like in the beginning of our teaching on the adornment of the middle way, there are 5 conditions taught. What is this called? For whom it was composed? What category it belongs to? What is it called? The 5 bases for composing treatises, right? in the 5 bases for composing treatises, isn't there that? For whom it was composed. This is very important. Actually, the context is very important. For example, if we look at an elementary school book, a university student will look at it and think the content is too shallow. But if you know for whom this was composed, you will understand that this was composed for elementary school students. So for us who study Madhyamaka, when we look at schools that assert true existence, we think there is nothing special. But you need to know for whom this book was composed. Perhaps the class we teach in elementary school, the class we teach in university, the class we teach in middle school. For example, if I were to go to these 3 schools to teach, later, after I put them into written form, you look at them. If what was taught to elementary school students, it may be meaningful for elementary school students. If taught to middle school students, it is meaningful for middle school students. If taught to doctoral students, it is meaningful for doctoral students. So the Dharma taught by the Buddha, for whom it was composed, this is very important. Otherwise, if you just generalize everything, it is definitely not reasonable. Some people say, you yourself simply do not understand what kind of beings the Buddha was addressing when he spoke. This is Dharma for Yogacara, for Madhyamaka, or for beings with capacities for Vajrayana. So the capacities of every being are different. In the worldly realm as well, for whom it was composed, is very important. The Buddha truly, in the process of teaching Dharma, teaches for different beings. So in the future, when we study sutras and treatises, even when reading other people's books, we should also look at their entire historical background. Why did they compose this treatise? This is very important. You just look at a book casually, without any context. Oh, this belongs to the category of architecture. They are all the same. Not necessarily. Within architecture, there are also all kinds. Within medicine, there are also all kinds. Within medicine, for which illness, there are also those for this illness. Within Buddhism, it is also like this. For beginning practitioners, for those with heavy conceptual thoughts. So in the future, when we read books, first, for whom was this book written? This is very important. Also, who is the author of this book? This is also very important. If you do not even know who the author is and you just read casually, sometimes it is not necessarily beneficial. I once heard that there was an author abroad who wrote a book. As it turned out, the most critical word in the title was wrong. Unexpectedly, this book became especially best-selling. This was probably due to some karmic connection. Later, he discovered that originally there was a typo in the title. Then he immediately corrected it. After correcting it, no one bought this book anymore. There is such a story. So whatever we do, who is the author? Now, some people, regardless of how the author is, as long as the title is very attractive, this is one thing. Also, some people have such regard for the author because they are their fans. Whatever this author says is very good. Also, some people, this author wrote one book very well, but the others are not so good. But everyone thinks because it was written by him, it should be very good. Actually, not necessarily. For example, in a restaurant, one dish is cooked very well. After you eat this, oh, all of them will probably be like this. Not necessarily, because if the chef is not happy that day, he just cooks carelessly. In that case, it is definitely not delicious. So for many things we do, we need to use our own wisdom to analyze. Otherwise, if you just accept everything in this way, it is not necessarily reasonable. So I think regarding these bodhisattvas, the bodhisattvas all have different names, and moreover, these names all have different necessities. Just like in our worldly realm, in universities there are different departments, different divisions, but the teachers in each department, their specializations are also different. Perhaps their class level is relatively higher. Just like with mathematics, from elementary school to university, every class has mathematics. They are all called mathematics by name, but the level of the mathematics teacher is also different. The students they address are also different. It is the same. The Buddha has long had, for the entire 84,000 Dharma gates, different capacities of beings. This is very important. So in the future, on one hand, I think reading books is very important. We need to study. If you yourself do not enrich yourself, it truly is very difficult. But when reading books and studying, if you have the guidance of a teacher or a master, that is best. If not, when you study on your own, then you should not look down on others. the book that others composed, for what purpose was it intended? I think this is very important. Perhaps he was teaching to people without faith. In that case, before people without faith, what kind of language is needed? If this author has wisdom, it is very necessary to study this. If it is taught among groups with faith, then perhaps the method of teaching is another kind. So in the future, we should pay attention to these aspects. Look here, the sound of the quaking of Mount Mushilinda Bodhisattva, and also the Gandhahastin Bodhisattva. This Gandhahastin Bodhisattva, his body has a fragrant breeze, bringing everyone an especially wonderful fragrance. Then the white Gandhahastin Bodhisattva. As for the white Gandhahastin Bodhisattva, he also has the best fragrant breeze, the best fragrance. Also in some Prajnaparamita Sutras. The white Gandhahastin Bodhisattva is also often mentioned. I prostrate to the foremost birth Bodhisattva. When this Bodhisattva was born, various wonderful sounds appeared. I prostrate to the lotus ornament Bodhisattva. As for the lotus ornament Bodhisattva, through flowers of samadhi, he adorns all his worlds. The lotus ornament Bodhisattva. Actually, regarding the lotus ornament Bodhisattva, could it be this? In the past, I taught about National Master Qingliang. Throughout his life, he taught the Avatamsaka Sutra more than 50 times. He was the national master of 7 emperors. There is such a story. It should be true. Finally, when National Master Qingliang passed into parinirvana, it seems there was an Indian arhat who came to China. When passing through the Pamir Plateau, from there, he saw 2 youths flying through the sky. He asked them where they were going and what they were doing. They said there was a lotus ornament bodhisattva manifesting parinirvana. We are preparing to request 2 of his teeth to take back to enshrine them in a temple there. At that time, when that arhat arrived in Xi'an, he inquired about this. As it turned out, National Master Qingliang had just passed into parinirvana. He had lived for more than 100 years. He then asked, if what I saw is true, is he missing 2 teeth? When they looked, indeed it was so. Perhaps the gods had taken them or something, Indian non-humans or other beings. Indeed, at that time, National Master Qingliang's 2 teeth were not intact. Later, they believed he was a manifestation of the lotus ornament Bodhisattva. Then, I prostrate to Brahmajala Bodhisattva. His pure conduct is like a net, extremely numerous. I prostrate to the jeweled staff Bodhisattva. In his hand he holds a jeweled staff. I prostrate to the invincible sound Bodhisattva. His wisdom has nothing that does not surpass. He surpasses everything. Or it can be said that no one can surpass him. Maifam also has the meaning of invincible, Maifam Rinpoche. Mai is a negative particle meaning not or without. Pham means defeat or failure. Undefeated meaning one who will not fail. In Mifam Rinpoche's biography, it is taught that when he went to a certain place, some thieves, some bandits began to rob Mifam Rinpoche. At the beginning, he generated loving kindness toward them, but these people became increasingly fierce. Then Mifam Rinpoche said to himself, as for scriptural authority and reasoning, there is not one that I cannot conquer. As for worldly people, I am also very formidable. When he took up his staff, preparing to strike them, they all ran away. It seems this is also in his biography. Mifam, undefeated, meaning one who will not fail. Mifam Rinpoche, the undefeated Rinpoche. Here, invincible sound means able to surpass everything. No one will surpass him. Then the ornament of the field, Bodhisattva, a Bodhisattva who adorns the land. Then Hemakuda Bodhisattva, a golden crown protrusion, possessing this Bodhisattva. Then the jeweled vertex Bodhisattva. Jeweled vertex means a jewel, a wish-fulfilling gem crown protrusion, this Bodhisattva. From above, what I just taught about the opening of the Vimalakirti Sutra, these have basically all been completed. In the Vimalakirti Sutra, many bodhisattvas from the opening have been taught. When you have time, you can also cross-check. Also, if you cross-check with the annotated Vimalakirti Sutra, many bodhisattvas, I just briefly mentioned them. The names of many bodhisattvas all have explanations. Next, the youthful ornamented light bodhisattva. Below, many are found in the Sutra of Buddha names. The youthful ornamented light Bodhisattva, the youthful ornamented light Bodhisattva. Also, I prostrate to Lokadara Bodhisattva. Also, I prostrate to the emerging appearance Bodhisattva. As for these few Bodhisattvas in chapter 4 of the Vimalakirti Sutra, it seems they were among the few bodhisattvas admonished by layman Vimalakirti. These few should be like this. One is the youthful, ornamented, light bodhisattva, another is Lokadara bodhisattva, and another is the emerging appearance bodhisattva. I prostrate to the victorious over austerities bodhisattva. I prostrate to the virtuous qualities bodhisattva. Actually, in Tibetan, virtuous qualities is first, second is victorious over austerities, third is emerging appearance, but this sequence does not matter. It is also like this in the Vimalakirti Sutra. Below, I prostrate to the virtuous qualities Bodhisattva. This one should not be used. This was added by them. I prostrate to the flower light Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the sandalwood jewel flower Bodhisattva. Both are found in the Sutra of Buddha names. I prostrate to the hidden Dharma Bodhisattva. The hidden Dharma Bodhisattva is ever-weeping Bodhisattva, the ever-weeping Bodhisattva in the Prajna Paramita Sutras. This is not found in Tibetan. The ever-weeping Bodhisattva is not found in Tibetan. It is found in the Sutra of Buddha names and Dunhuang manuscripts. It is not in Tibetan. Below is Dharmeshvara Bodhisattva. Dharmeshvara Bodhisattva is also called Dharma Conqueror or Dharma Secret. Actually, this is the teacher of ever-weeping Bodhisattva. It is taught in the Prajaparamita Sutras. At that time, Dharmeshvara Bodhisattva, that is Dharma Secret Bodhisattva, together with 68,000 women, was playing and enjoying themselves, but ever-weeping Bodhisattva did not generate wrong views and sought the Prajna Paramita. Below, these are also found in the Sutra of Buddha names. I prostrate to Dharmeshvara Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the Chief of Glory Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the non-blinking Bodhisattva. Non-blinking means not blinking the eyes. I prostrate to the glorious crown protrusion Bodhisattva. Here, in these places, just now, it should be starting from the Chief of Glory Bodhisattva in the Vimalakirti Sutra, in the 9th chapter, the chapter on entering the non-dual Dharma gate. These Bodhisattvas are taught about. Everyone should know. At that time, each of these Bodhisattvas taught their own verses and passages about the non-dual Dharma gate. I prostrate to the glorious crown protrusion Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the previous virtue Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the excellent non-craving Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the root of virtue Bodhisattva. The root of virtue Bodhisattva should not be used. Yes, it is not in the Dunhuang manuscripts either. In the Vimalakirti Sutra and in Tibetan, yes, the Dunhuang manuscripts should not have it. The previous excellent non-craving Bodhisattva is present. The Dunhuang manuscripts and the Vimalakirti Sutra both have him. I prostrate to the Supreme Army Bodhisattva. There is also a Supreme Army Inquiry Sutra about this Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the foremost being Bodhisattva. Foremost being also has the meaning of truth. I prostrate to Simha Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the Lion's Melody Bodhisattva. We can say Lion's Melody, or we can also say Lion's Melody. Some Dunhuang manuscripts of the Vimalakirti Sutra say Lion's Mind in Tibetan, and some Dunhuang manuscripts it says Lion's Melody. These are all different. I prostrate to the Clean Knowing Bodhisattva. I prostrate to Narayana Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the virtuous mind Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the actually perceiving Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the completely protecting Bodhisattva. Then I prostrate to the flash of lightning Bodhisattva. Here there is a Priyadarshana Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the mark of appearance Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the foremost mind Bodhisattva. All of these are found in the chapter on entering the non-dual Dharma gate of the Vimalakirti Sutra. It would probably be best to cross-check them. I prostrate to Akshayamati Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the profound wisdom Bodhisattva. Both are found in the Sutra of Buddha names. Then the pacified senses Bodhisattva. Pacified senses, in Tibetan, it is pacified characteristics. In the Vimalakirti Sutra and the Sutra of Buddha names. I could not find it in the Sutra of Buddha names. In the Vimalakirti Sutra, it is present. It is called pacified senses bodhisattva. In Tibetan, it is called pacified characteristics, the characteristics of Dharma characteristics. I prostrate to Asanga bodhisattva. In the Vimalakirti Sutra, it is mind without hindrance. In Tibetan and the Sutra of Buddha names, both say Asanga bodhisattva. I prostrate to the highest virtue bodhisattva. I prostrate to Punyakshetra bodhisattva. I prostrate to the lotus ornament bodhisattva. There was also a lotus ornament earlier, but perhaps each bodhisattva appears in different places, or perhaps they have the same name. For example, one is the lotus ornament from the northeast, then there is the lotus ornament from the south. Among our people as well, there is Little Yuan, something Little Yuan Man, Little Yuan Di, Little Yuan He, Great Yuan Man, Great Yuan He, and so forth. There are such names. And so among lay names, there are also duplicates. Among Buddhist Dharma names, there are also duplicates. It is acceptable to have many duplicate names. Among the names of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, there are also tens of thousands. So here there are different Bodhisattvas. They may appear in different sutras. They may also appear in different worlds. For example, the lotus ornament Bodhisattva of the East, the lotus ornament Bodhisattva of the West. Perhaps there are two Bodhisattvas. Then Shrigarbha Bodhisattva. There was also one earlier. It is also found in the Sutra of Buddha names. Then the highest moon Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the jewel-in-hand mudra Bodhisattva. There was also the same one earlier. Then the king of jeweled crown protrusions Bodhisattva. The devoted to truth Bodhisattva. The devoted to truth Bodhisattva is found in many places. The later devoted to truth Bodhisattva is extra. We will not use it. It is not found in the Vimalakirti Sutra or in Tibetan. Just now, the devoted to truth Bodhisattva, and these are found in the chapter on entering the non-dual Dharma gate. Then the perceiving wisdom Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the becoming king Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the profound king Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the king flower Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the foremost form Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the skilled in questioning Bodhisattva. In Tibetan, it is skilled in questioning Bodhisattva. It seems the Sutra of Buddha names calls him virtuous illumination Bodhisattva. There are also differences, but the Dunhuang manuscripts also have skilled in questioning Bodhisattva. This probably does not make much difference. Skilled in questioning, then in one place it is virtuous illumination, but generally we do not change it. Skilled in questioning Bodhisattva, because earlier there is skilled in questioning Bodhisattva, and later there is skilled in answering Bodhisattva. One questioning, one answering, these two together are quite good. The two are together. If skilled in answering Bodhisattva, sometimes questions we do not know what to do. I prostrate to the actual realization of characteristics Bodhisattva, realizing the Dharma characteristics. I prostrate to the definite mark Bodhisattva, definite Dharma characteristics. I prostrate to the definitely stacked up Bodhisattva. I prostrate to the produced through joy Bodhisattva. The definitely and definitely stacked up means certainty, definite understanding. Stacked up means very much, very numerous. I prostrate to the produced through joy Bodhisattva. Produce means to generate, generating a joyful mind every day, always cheerful. Not like some of us. When you look at them, they are always like this, especially during meetings, perhaps due to past life causes or something. They are always with such a serious face throughout the whole time. For example, during a 1-hour volunteer service meeting, always like this. Occasionally glancing up. Truly, the entire state of some people is still very different. Perhaps for some, I think sometimes do these people have objections to me, but perhaps they do not. I heard that at any time they are like this, so very much like that. This person truly still, if living together with this person, in that case it would be very painful. Every day like this, this is produced through joy, joyful, constantly generating a joyful mind, always smiling, just like Maitreya Bodhisattva. even when there is no need, always smiling. Originally, there was once at our school, our building, right when I was establishing the school, in that school, a small building was burned by fire. The next day, when the director of the Education Bureau came, that principal looked around with a smile. The director was extremely displeased and said, "How can the building be burned by fire and you are still smiling? Leave immediately." Then he did not allow him to remain in the school. When the leader was displeased, he was immediately dismissed. So sometimes smiling is also rather in different situations you cannot smile. Especially when you need to be rather serious, you cannot smile. If you smile at that time, it is very easy to be dismissed. I also sometimes, when criticizing others, if others smile, I am not very happy. I think my criticism has not yet hit the vital point. I need to speak to him more. So this produced through joy Bodhisattva probably smiles every day, joyfully. I prostrate to the happily abiding Bodhisattva, but this should be secure position. The Taisho Tripitaka is probably wrong. The Taisho Tripitaka was compiled by the Japanese, so sometimes when Japanese people work on Chinese language, what we are now revising differs from Tibetan in some places. The content in Tibetan was also not understood. Then they added it, some compiled by Chinese people. This great expansive sutra of repentance and eradication of sins. Some was researched by Japanese, some was researched by Chinese people based on Tibetan. For some basic words, they simply do not understand, and then they begin to add them. Look below. The names of several bodhisattvas compared with the above. Originally, it is this bodhisattva's name, but perhaps their Tibetan level is not high, and there is no way to understand. Just now, as for that Taisho Tripitaka, happily abiding, originally it is secure position. In Tibetan, it can also be like this. Then they wrote it as happily abiding. The Taisho Tripitaka also has this. It should not be happily abiding. The Dan Huang manuscripts all say secure position bodhisattva. Then I prostrate to the fearful to Maras bodhisattva. Fearful to Maras means making the Maras fearful. This bodhisattva. I prostrate to the giver of wisdom bodhisattva. I prostrate to the refuge giver bodhisattva. As for the refuge giver bodhisattva, there is a sutra called the Dharan Sutra, spoken by the 7 Buddhas and 8 bodhisattvas. In it, it teaches that if a land encounters oppression from neighboring countries, then the king himself should properly repent and bathe, then recite 3 times the name of the refuge giver bodhisattva. Also, if some dharans are recited, it can eliminate all fears of the other party. So now when various countries are feeling somewhat afraid, it is best to recite the name of the refuge giver bodhisattva more. Afraid of various countries, if there are such and such matters, then I prostrate to the noble state of wisdom bodhisattva. I prostrate to the courageous giving bodhisattva, the courageous giving bodhisattva, courageously giving. I prostrate to the observing wisdom bodhisattva, using wisdom to guide beings. I prostrate to the prayer for wisdom bodhisattva. Above, there is also prayer for wisdom. I prostrate to the 4 types of gathering bodhisattva. I prostrate to the melodious teacher bodhisattva. I prostrate to the supreme ocean bodhisattva. I have not found the supreme ocean bodhisattva in the Sutra of Buddha names. Below, most are found in the Sutra of Buddha names. They are not found in other sutras. Then I prostrate to the joyful Dharma bodhisattva. This is found in the Sutra of Buddha names. I prostrate to Bodhipata bodhisattva. As for Bodhipata, it means the bodhisattva path. We teach about the 37 factors of enlightenment. The Bodhipata bodhisattva is the bodhisattva path bodhisattva. This is found in the Sutra of Buddha names. I prostrate to Sutradhara bodhisattva. I have not found the Sutradhara bodhisattva in the Sutra of Buddha names. I prostrate to the King of Love bodhisattva. I have also not found this one. I prostrate to Maheshvara bodhisattva. This is found in the Sutra of Buddha names. I prostrate to Brahmagosa bodhisattva. I have not found this one. I prostrate to the foremost color bodhisattva. I have also not found this one. They should be found in other sutras, but I have not had time to check. I prostrate to the Sandalwood Grove bodhisattva. This is found in the Sutra of Buddha names. I prostrate to the Lion's Melody bodhisattva. This one is not found. I prostrate to the foremost speech bodhisattva. In some places it is called foremost word bodhisattva. This is found in the Sutra of Buddha names. I prostrate to the form of foremost caller, Bodhisattva. This is also found in the Sutra of Buddha names. Good. Today we will teach up to this point. In this way, the first volume, that is to say the upper volume, perhaps in the next teaching session we can completely finish teaching it.
Bandharangara Badna Sodargye Bandharangara Badna Sodargye Bandharangara Badna Sodargye